What is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in. Back with another review. Good to be back, I should say, because it has been probably a month and a half, actually, since the last time I made a review. Well, today I have something exciting for you. I recently purchased an iPad Pro 13-inch, and while I did not make an unboxing or a review of it, just to preface this video, the iPad Pro 13-inch is over $1,000. It is an expensive tablet, laptop replacement, however you wish to refer to this as. It is an expensive electronic device, an expensive piece of technology, something that requires you save up for several months at a time to purchase, and also something that you keep for a long time as well. And there are thousands of reviews on YouTube of this device already, unboxings of it as well. So I figured I would forgo that and use the device and give you my thoughts. Now, this is not the first time I have owned an iPad. So actually, today is not a review on the iPad. It's actually a review on iOS 26 or iPadOS 26. Now, going into this, I have owned iPads before, and I knew what I was getting myself into, but I had not had access yet to iPadOS 26. It just came out. I bought this iPad M4 over 2 months ago, which at the time shipped with the previous version of iPadOS, which was iPadOS 16, from what I understand. Well, I am here to tell you that without iPadOS 26, I would not be making this review today. So let's actually look at this as a review for iPadOS 26 and actually just look or maybe use this iPad as a reference. This is the 13-inch iPad Pro with M4 on the horizon, like actually a week from now, I believe, at the time of making this video. Apple is planning to release a M5 iPad Air. So this device is actually on its way out. It is slated to be the exact same design, but just feature an upgraded chip. So if you're looking at getting a new iPad 13-inch, the Pro with the M series processor inside, wait maybe just a couple of days from the time that this video is released for the M5, because this one is the M4. But this runs iPadOS 26, which is why I am making this review, because like I said, I have owned iPads in the past, and this OS is a game changer. And actually, what enables it to be such a powerful software update is actually the M4 iPad Pro. Again, this is not an iPad review, but the M4 iPad Pro enables this because it was actually the first iPad to be released with an OLED display. This M4 iPad Pro is the first iPad with OLED. Now, what is so important about that? Well, iPadOS 26, when it came out, which was a month ago, it actually came out with support for allowing the user to resize their windows. Multitasking has been something of a tough spot on the iPad for quite some time. Users have been wanting Apple to make this a replacement for their laptop, but have sort of fallen short over the years. And would I say that iPadOS 26 makes the iPad a replacement for a laptop? And the answer to that would be no. Instead, what makes this iPad so powerful and such a game changer, again with that OLED display, is the flexible windowing that you get with iPadOS 26, which is new for this year. And let me tell you exactly why. So basically, you've got this device, right? The M4 iPad Pro, even the 11-inch. This is the 13-inch, but even the 11-inch I think would work. Really, the mini would work as well. And the standard issue iPad and iPad Air, respectively. Though you want the Pro with the OLED display because it does enable what exactly I'm about to tell you now. And it is because this device in particular, Pro with iPadOS 26, with OLED, with the M4 chip, 13-inch, what makes this such a powerful device is the fact that it can actually be whatever mobile computing device you want this to be. Now let me explain what I mean by that. So, like I was showing you earlier, with iPadOS 26, you get this ability to resize your windows. You can also even snap them to a grid. So you can actually have an app in one corner and another app in the opposite corner, and they resize really nice, and you can multitask and what have you. And see, as you can see, I have two windows running side by side. But what I was meaning earlier about this being able to sort of mimic and mock other mobile devices, let's take a look actually at the Google Pixel 10 Pro Fold, or maybe even something more well known, the Galaxy Z Fold, for example, from Samsung. The 7 series just came out. And it is exactly what it sounds like, a folding device. You can basically unfold it and have a tablet size screen. So you have a device that fits in the palm of your hand like a regular smartphone would, but it folds open into one tablet size display. But the Pixel website will definitely show me, and you can see here how it's this sort of candy bar style with the screen on the front like we have known for so many years now, and then it folds out into a tablet. Now, I have used the Pixel Fold before, and it is roughly this big. You can see my hands here in front of the display of the iPad Pro 13-inch, and having the Pixel 10 Pro Fold in your hand would actually almost be similar to resizing this window on the iPad Pro in front of me. So what I mean by this device can mimic pretty much a folding device is with the ability to resize these windows, it allows you actually to interact with the iPad, maybe sitting on the sofa, for example, having this massive 13-inch display, running apps in full screen on the iPad Pro really does make it difficult to sort of, move around with your hands and reach up in the corners, for example. Imagine the full screen keyboard comes up and you're trying to type something in, and as you can see, having the iPad in landscape, holding it with both hands, you would actually be stretching your thumbs out pretty far just to get to the G and the H in the middle of the keyboard, for example. It really is uncomfortable. Now, you do have the ability to pinch the keyboard and make it small, so you can actually make it iPhone size. But still, if you're not typing, you're interacting with the web page or the screen in some way, and so still makes it difficult to reach for things in the middle of the screen if you're sitting on the couch. Now, you could sort of fix that issue by having the iPad vertical, but that isn't always the easiest as well. There is still quite a bit of real estate, and I have large hands, and I still, as you can see, am stretching my thumb quite a ways if I were pretending to hold it vertically just to reach the center of the screen. But when you have the ability to tile the windows and resize them, as you can see, having a small window over here off to the right really gives me control with just one hand, the ability to sort of pinch and zoom without having to stretch my hand out. The first example is the Pixel 10 Pro Fold, right? You have a tile. Basically here, I've resized it to be the size of the Pixel 10 Pro Fold folded out, or a Galaxy Z Fold folded out. And actually, I think a Galaxy Z Fold would probably still be more like this right here. But yeah, really, really cool stuff. Another device the iPad Pro can mimic is a Nook. So if we actually go to the Books app, you can actually resize this window to be the size of a Kindle or a Nook e-reader. So if you're sitting, maybe laying on the couch, laying in bed, it doesn't matter. You can actually resize this window to be the same size as a Kindle e-reader or a Nook e-reader. Yeah, really powerful stuff, this iPadOS 26. And the OLED actually sort of enables that because it's deeper, it's more contrasty, it's more vibrant, it's more adjustable, and so it can actually take on something like a Kindle or a Nook a little bit more readily than if this was just LCD, for example. So anyways, guys, that is it for this review. I purchased the iPad Pro with M4 roughly 2.5 months ago. It has been an absolute blast to use. Out of the box, it did not come with iPadOS 26, and that was fun. I wanted the iPad for other reasons, but when I downloaded iPadOS 26, I felt the need to make this review. Get the 13-inch iPad Pro with M4 because it has the OLED display, and the 13-inch real estate really does, like I said, allow this to take on the sort of life of other mobile devices. This really is one mobile device that fits all sizes. If you want a folding device, you really don't need it because the iPad Pro 13-inch can actually become the Pixel 10 Pro Fold. If you want a Galaxy Z Fold, the iPad Pro, again, can take on the feel of something like a folding device because you can resize these windows to any way you want. You can actually resize them, like I was saying, to basically what the Z Fold or the Pixel 10 Pro Fold looks like unfolded, making this just a super powerful device. And then, like I was saying, the OLED display really allows this to sort of become a Kindle or a Nook, right? A Kindle is about this size here. iPadOS 26 is a total game changer software update for the iPad. If you're thinking about getting an iPad, definitely do it. Get the OLED one. The 11-inch would be nice, but I think the 13-inch would be the best. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is John. This is a review of iPadOS 26. Today we're using the iPad Pro M4 13-inch as the reference device. It is the ideal device, I think, to run iPadOS 26, but I think would work just as well for all of these reasons, running iPadOS 26 that I mentioned on the other devices as well. Anyways, guys, hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, my name is John. Hit that like button, hit the bell icon to get notified, and see you guys in the next review.